All right, so it's on the dot, 11 o'clock. I'm going to move through things here. So just let me know so we're all on the same page. Hopefully my screen's changed a little bit there. Thumbs up. Sundays and Seasons is a rich and reliable resource for worship planning. Lots of thumbs up, fabulous. The print resources have been around for decades. Probably, if you stop to think about it, when sundaysandseasons.com came into being, it was probably the one of the only cloud-based platforms that existed, certainly within the church, and so pretty revolutionary a place for us to be as a publisher, and for you all to be as worship planners. So I feel pretty energized by what Sundays and Seasons has been able to do for us over the years. There's of course the Sundays and Seasons annual that has all that great print worship content, and Sundays and Seasons preaching for the homileticians in our midst, both of which are available on sundaysandseasons.com. So what does the online platform do for us? It helps you to prepare. It helps you to plan services and easily produce worship support materials. Um, it, it, the search functions in Sundays and Seasons are mind blowing when it comes to finding hymns. Now, the NRSVUE Bible text, looking for clip arts, looking for PowerPoint slides. Wow, all that stuff and more is in sundaysandseasons.com. And the search functions are pretty powerful indeed. And the library, that's where you find all our hymnal collections, where you find liturgical resources, where you find the content from the print version of sundaysandseasons.com, the annual, and so much more. And extend. If you've got a deluxe subscription of Sundays and Seasons, there's a standard subscription that basically lets you see things and do the planning. But the deluxe subscription allows you to download the music graphics and all that kind of stuff. You know you have it if you can download music graphics. Well, you can also add preaching helps and prelude integration to the deluxe subscription of sundaysandseasons.com. And for those of you who are not familiar with Prelude, it's kind of like a combination between Sundays and Seasons and iTunes for specifically for the musicians in our midst. Something to keep in mind. Prelude, take a look at it if you are not familiar with it. We are going to tour the site's seasonal worship content. As I mentioned, there's a lot of resources in sundaysandseasons.com for those of you who are brand new. This is what the homepage looks like. This is Ash Wednesday coming up here, and already on this homepage, you can access through the blue hyperlinks a lot of resources. The library, however, is the place to be when it comes to finding content in sundaysandseasons.com. There you'll find our hymnal collections, like All Creation Sings, but you also find things like our now Spanish version of our prison prayer book, Hear My Voice. And so we have both the English version and the Spanish version digitized and available to you in sundaysandseasons.com. Just a sampling. I mean, there's two items. Because as you dig into the flagships of Sundays and Seasons, namely ELW and All Creation Sings, or some of you may be still using LBW or With One Voice, This Far by Faith, of course, in our Libro de Liturgica. So all of those are hymnal collections, and the content, not just the hymns, but the liturgical content within those hymnal collections are available to you digitally at sundaysandseasons.com. But let's say you're looking for some Lent midweek ideas. As I said before, search the library. Just click Lent midweek in there, and a lot of content will come up, including the brand new Lenten midweek series that I'll take a peek at when we're live onto the site, which is Lenten Worship Through the Senses, which is a station-based Lenten midweek experience that we're pretty excited about. But we'll take a look at that. That's kind of new. Um, as I said, there's a lot of content in Sundays and Seasons, but there's also functionality in Sundays and Seasons. So this is not a test. This is not a test. what is that? What does that icon on the left do for you? Go ahead and populate the questions pod with an answer. What's the icon on the left do for you? So who's the first one to chime in on it? Icon on the left. Search. Yeah, search or preview. Actually, preview is probably a good way of talking about it too, because it lets you peer into content in Sundays and Seasons. How about the middle one? The middle one's probably the easiest of the bunch. What's the middle one do for you? Yeah, download the content that you're dealing with. Fabulous. And Sundays and Seasons has a unique feature, and it's related to the right hand icon. What does that do? What does that do? What's on the right hand? Add to clipboard. Yeah, thanks, Christina. Add to clipboard. There's a feature in Sundays and Seasons that lets you move content around. So you can add something to a Sundays and Seasons clipboard. And it's not the same as your operating system clipboard. It just works within Sundays and Seasons, where you can find something in the library that you like. You can add it to the clipboard, and when you're planning resources, you're planning services, you can drop that content right into a service element as you're planning. So it's a pretty powerful function if you're not familiar with it. And I'll show you how it works. People are asking about the clipboard and how it works. I'll go ahead and show you that. So yeah, preview or or search, I suppose, but preview is probably the best. Download or copy to clipboard. And that's just three of the many functions in sundaysandseasons.com. So it's not just a place to download stuff. I know people who just go to the homepage for each Sunday festival and commemoration and just click the download all button, and that's as far as they go with it. But there's a lot of great powers that Sundays and Seasons gives you in terms of worship planning. I don't know. What do you think? How many of these icons have you worked with? All of them? 100%? 50%? 1%? I'm curious where we're at with that. Okay, so okay, 50%, 60%. Okay, yeah, 80%. Whoa, 80%, Betsy. All right, that's awesome. All right, so we are going to look very quickly at some of the new content. Some of you are really here for that reason. And so I just want to refer, first of all, to that new Lenten Worship Through the Senses seasonal rite that is found in the Sundays and Seasons rites area of the library. And I'll show you where that is exactly so you can find that. Something else that's new is this opportunity to have a Stations of the Cross service. And really, the Stations of the Cross service this year really focuses on creation. So if you have green teams in your congregation, if you're kind of an environmentally active congregation, really encourage you to look at this year's Stations of the Cross. I suppose that they could be used at other times besides Good Friday if you want to do, maybe build your whole Lenten experience around them. But be aware that those two resources are brand new in Sundays and Seasons this year. What else do we have going on for you that's new? Well, the seasonal essays, they're always new. And from a scholar and from a preacher notes in the preaching supports, if you have that add-on module, they're always new for each season and Sunday in sundaysandseasons.com. And boy, there's a lot of great content in there. I mean, sometimes I look at these seasonal essays and I'm saying, this I could launch a whole series based on just what I'm reading here. It gives you some great ideas. So don't ignore those seasonal essays and preaching supports because they're new. As we roll through the seasons, we also are writing those new essays. And there's a new section called General Rights and Essays, which has become kind of an archive of the best of studiesandseasons.com. So even though this content isn't new, that place is new. That General Rights and Essays place is new and has things that are appeared in past print volumes of Sundays and Seasons, but are now available online, and been given some significant new organization this year. I'll show you where that is. New-ish content in sundaysandseasons.com. Include our hymn collections. There's several single-authored hymn collections by Susan Sherwin, Living in Wonder, Jeanette Lindholm's Love Astounding, Paul Weber's So Great a Cloud of Witnesses. I do want to mention that, well, our music people want me to mention that Sherwin's collection includes a beautiful Ash Wednesday hymn, and there is now an anthem connected to that hymn, Dust Remember You Are Splendor. And so you can go and go to augsburgportraits.org and take a look at that hymn and see the anthem version of that. But the hymn itself is available to you on sundaysandseasons.com. And there's lots of new hymns as well from All Creation Sings that work in these seasons. If you haven't noticed yet, the NRSV UE is on board, and you can select that as your default version of the Bible. And so take a look at what your default selections are, and if it's the NRSV UE yet or not. I did want to mention that the NRSV UE is now available both in a print and gift edition. The study Bible is due to come out this summer, and so watch your mailboxes for information about the NRSV UE Study Bible and a new Bible study series connected to that. But I don't want to give too much away beyond what I've just said. If you don't know much about the NRSV UE and you have a smartphone available, I'm going to leave this up for a couple seconds while I look at the questions, and you can certainly get that access to more information about the NRSV UE by way of a blog post that we've created. Tour the preaching module. Advent for Epiphany. What's up with that? That's an old slide. Lent through Easter. We're going to talk about some of the extending functionalities. We've already mentioned the preaching module. You can add Prelude, and if you have Prelude, which is adding a completely unique site, you are also adding the ability that automatically includes, if you have them on the same account. Important to note, if you have Prelude and Sundays and Seasons on the same account, they can talk to each other. All right, so that's a great way to get our musicians and our other planners together. Take a look at Prelude; it's pretty cool if you have not seen it. Okay, we're going to build a worship plan. We're going to save the plan as a reusable template, and we're going to again celebrate the significant content and the seamless functionality of sundaysandseasons.com when we go live onto the site. I know a number of you have been asking about templates. Well, you can save a plan, or you can create a new template from a plan. And really, this is one of the more powerful aspects of sundaysandseasons.com. When you click the save button, you get this opportunity. When you save a plan, you just save a plan to a day in the calendar. When you create a new template from this plan, you put it in a folder, and it becomes something that you can use over and over and over again. So if your congregation has some pretty idiosyncratic things that you do, maybe the way you order the service, or maybe some custom text that you build in, custom prayers or what have you, you don't have to redo that every time, right? You can create what works for your congregation and save it as a template and go back to it time and time again. So that is a really kind of an important and efficiency building feature of sundaysandseasons.com. I know that a lot of people would like sundaysandseasons.com to spit out bulletins exactly the way it comes out of your printer. Sundays and Seasons, unfortunately, is not like that. There's so many different formatting options that people use. We can't possibly predict all of those things. So you get it in a basic 8.5 by 11 document that you would have to massage into your formats locally. All right, I'm just responding to some things that I know our people have been asking about. All right. All right, and then we will take the time along the way for some Q&A. So, oh, Patricia loves Prelude. Yay! Yeah, Prelude deserves some love. I tell you, I don't think enough people know about it. And you know, one of the fun things about Prelude is that you use this thing called points. You buy points, and let's say you've got $100 left in your music budget for the end of the year. And you say, what do I do with this $100? Well, you can buy Prelude points then, and bank your Prelude points and use them at any time. Hint, hint. So yeah, Prelude. If you go to preludemusicplanner.com, and oh, you do that, Pat. You do bank your points. I love that. Preludemusicplanner.com or .org, .com, .org, whatever. And you should be able to find Prelude, and you can preview it that way. Okay, I'm going to stop right now, and then I'm going to go um, into my next slide here. All right, so we're going to. So I am going to now go live onto sundaysandseasons.com. So hopefully you've seen my screen change, and we are in the live section of sundaysandseasons.com. Uh, for those of you who are not so much familiar with this, Sundays and Seasons always goes to the upcoming Sunday Festival of Commemoration, which would in this case be the fifth Sunday after Epiphany. And you'll get resources for that Sunday. As I said earlier, there's a lot of people who go to day text and they put read in full, and they say download all of this content, introduction, confession, the gospel acclamation, even the readings here, everything in blue is hyperlinked. And they'll say, I want all of this content. Just boom, got it, done. And then they do with it as they do. That's one way to use Sundays and Seasons, a perfectly legitimate way. But there's a lot of other resources here as well. I don't know if you've gone into the day resource for each day festival and commemoration, but day resources give you some great thematic ideas, some multimedia ways to connect with the service, songs, stuff for the kids, even connections with creation. The homileticians and the children's message creators, I think they should all have access to sundaysandseasons.com. And in fact, if you have content that you are not using in sundaysandseasons.com, you might want to think about adding some more people who could take advantage of that content. There's no limit to the amount of people that you add to your subscription. Okay, and I'll show you how to do that here in a little bit. So I'm back up to the top of the page, and you'll see the scrolling set of images that is related to the fifth Sunday after Epiphany, and you'll also see this calendar. Now, the interesting thing about the Sunday Seasons calendar is the green circle is always the day that you're on, and if there's any gray circles, I don't know if there's any coming up here. I don't think if anybody has planned anything ahead in my team. But if there's any gray circles around any of the dates, those are Sundays, or could be Wednesdays or any day that has content planned for that day. So if you planned content for a particular day, it'll show up as a gray circle. One of the other good ways to get around the calendar is by way of the larger calendar. And this is also where you can see content that you have created. A red book will show up on days that you have content created. The other nice thing about the larger calendar is if you wanted to see what you did in February 3 years ago, you can see that because all of that has been saved in Sundays and Seasons as you're creating plans and connecting plans to days in the calendar. All that is available to you in Sundays and Seasons. I'm going to talk about each of these items, the day resources, the day text, the day resources, music, preaching resources and visual resources, uh, which are available to you here. But I'm going to talk about it off the main page of sundaysandseasons.com. So okay, we're back now to the homepage. But let's say, hey, I've got this covered. I'm really interested in Ash Wednesday, so I'll click ahead to Ash Wednesday, and I'll click on the fifth, and now we're talking about Ash Wednesday, and everything has changed. I mean, that's why Sundays and Seasons is such a dynamic thing. Whatever day you are planning toward is the content that's in the that appears on the homepage, and it'll stick there too. If you make a plan now for Ash Wednesday, it'll stick on this until you go to another day and make another plan. So it's pretty handy in that regard. We've talked about a number of other kinds of resources. The day text, the ideas for the day. We've already gone through the day text and day resources. But I want to actually move now just into a general conversation about the library. I'm going across I'll save planner for last. The library is where you find the hymnal collections that I mentioned. And what's kind of cool about the library is, let's say I'm in evangelical Lutheran worship. I've got occasional services for the assembly, occasions in the church's life, and welcoming new members. We're going to welcome some new members on Ash Wednesday. Why would I do it on Ash Wednesday? I have no idea, but I'm going to do it. So I can see here by way of the preview what that little subright looks like. I could download this directly if the pastor says last minute, can you slip that into the bulletin? You can just download that and have it available to you to use. I guess it opened up in a different page. Hang on a second. I've got too many screens up here. But yes, it's available to you. There we go. The welcoming of new members as an instantaneous download. Okay, or close this. Or you can take the welcoming new members, and you can add it to the Sundays and Seasons clipboard. All right, keep that in mind. We just added something to the Sundays and Seasons clipboard. Right, note to self later on. I'm going to go back here because a lot of people are really interested as we move into Lent of where all the seasonal content is. So I'm going to go past the hymnal collections, and I'm going to go into the Sundays and Seasons resources, the content that you would normally find in the Sundays and Seasons annual. All right, you'll find the gospel messages, the prayers of intercession, seasonal worship texts, seasonal rites, and the planning essays too. Maybe I should say, read this first. Read this first, and then go to the seasonal rites. But the seasonal rites, as you can see, have designations related to the rolling of the church year, seasonal rites for Lent, seasonal rites for the 3 days, seasonal rites for Easter. I go seasonal rites for Lent, and I see this brand new. If it's new, it's on top. The newer it is, the higher it is on the list. And so this is the brand new one, worship through the senses, with the different worship stations, a gathering litany, thanksgiving for an embodied God. And as I'm moving down here, I love the way that each week has its own set of content in this Lenten midweek service. And then the meditation stations. What do you do at each of the stations? There's images, there's art to meditate on, there's a mirror meditation, even a nativity meditation, interestingly. So this is kind of a cool brand new service, Lenten service, that's available to subscribers of sundaysandseasons.com. So you can, as I said, preview it. You can just download it as is, or if you want to kind of work with it in the planner, you could copy it to clipboard and take over that way. So again, seasonal rites for Lent. For the 3 days, we have that brand new listening to the cry of creation that you can look at, that you can download, that you can add to your to your clipboard. And so you might want to think about this brand new session. All right, Stations of the Cross. Yeah, somebody says, Barry says there's a lot of ideas in it. There's a lot of ideas in there. All right, music. I'm going to talk about music for a little bit. Um, uh, One of the things that I love about Sundays and Seasons, because I'm not a musical person. I love the fact that hymns and songs are are suggested for each Sunday festival and commemoration. And if you don't uh, really know what a particular hymn or song sounds like, you can certainly see all the parts of it, including the scores and the simple melody lines. But I love the fact that I can play it, and that there's going to be a kind of a little snippet there that reminds me of what the melody is. I'm gonna copy this one to our clipboard too. And now we put two things on our Sundays and Seasons clipboard. This is a real world issue here. Pick the hymn and download the hymn from in here. Right? Download the hymn. As you click into the hymn, choose that, and then you get the highest versions. Okay. A lot of people are asking about Prelude. Prelude is available. Let me see if I can type it in. I'm gonna go Prelude. Yeah. Oh, there's the YouTube, not the YouTube. That'll give you uh, some tricks and tips with Prelude. Music Planner. Right here, Prelude Music Planner. So there it is. And like I said, see, it's very similar to Sundays and Seasons. You can get a free trial, and there is you can synchronize back and forth between Sundays and Seasons and Prelude. So definitely check that out if you're a musician and interested in that. All right. So the great thing about music is it's not limited to the congregational singing of the assembly. You can also get some vocal choral ideas. If it's got a little P in front of it, that means you can download that right from Prelude. You've got a practice tonight, and you don't have the music in hand, but you want to use something. You can immediately have available to you, downloading from Prelude, Lord Who throughout these 40 days for SATB, and reproduce the number of copies you need. Patricia, my Prelude person, I do this a lot the day of, right, Patricia? Same with a keyboard instrumental, and if there's any kind of special music suggestions like these suggestions for the imposition of ashes, they might give you some additional ideas. I love the fact that you can search on keywords, titles, tune names, words, lyric. I may know nothing but like 3 words, and boom, I got it. Scripture references, and more. Now, we were asked about the different hymn collections that are in Sundays and Seasons. These are all the collections. If you go to music and you go to the left-hand sidebar rather, you can click into all of the different music collections that are in sundaysandseasons.com. So a lot of musical content. If in fact you say, I only want the stuff that's in evangelical Lutheran worship and with one voice, well, you can just search on content out of those 2 items and you don't have to worry about the rest. So just some interesting ways to kind of narrow things down for you. You can also search on the basis of what license you happen to have. Sundays and Seasons does not communicate with your license holders, so you will continue to have to report to them. But it does tell you which license the music that you are choosing is connected to. And you can even put in the words public domain as an example here, and just get all the public domain stuff if you want. So that's kind of an interesting option. All right, so I'm going back to the top of the page because we need to keep moving. And after I go through all the tabs, I'll stop and answer some questions. Preaching, Here's where you find the optional preaching content. Uh, for $39 a year, you get these great essays from a scholar essay. Those are all new. Every Ash Wednesday, there's going to be a new essay from a preacher notes from somebody who's actually in the pews preaching this passage and how they would approach it. Preaching in Lent gives you some ideas of the unique aspects of preaching in this particular season. And so you know, the preachers have a lot of great things at their fingertips too, including the lectionary notes and ideas for the day, which are part of uh, what we see connected to each of the days. These ideas here, you'll see that when you look at the day resources on any particular Sunday festival commemoration. But they're here for the preacher too. But you also get the complete archive of new proclamation essays. We had a great resource called New Proclamation. All of those essays have been folded into the Sundays and Seasons preaching module as well. So the preachers have a lot of resources at their fingertips. Visuals. A lot of people get your visuals out of sundaysandseasons.com. Great visuals for the every Sunday festival and commemoration, including Ash Wednesday. Uh, we've added a new set of Mary Button uh, uh, rituals in our latest icon connection. You've got Bible maps. If you're needing some Bible maps for education purposes, you've got all the ELW icons available to you as well. So there's a lot of great clip art. One of the things that people sometimes forget is that you can't just right click on these and copy these and get the best version of them. You really, if you want to get a high res version, you need to download them, not just right click and copy. You'll just get kind of a fuzzy version if you do that. The PowerPoint slides that we do offer are related to the subscription bulletin series. The other thing that we have available here is is the Bible. You can select what version you want to use. You can do a passage lookup, and you get very specific. If you use these kind of Boolean logics, you can get exactly the passage you want. Somebody asked about the reverse lectionary, and I mean not reverse lectionary. Sorry, I'm going to talk about the reverse lectionary, about the narrative lectionary. And if you do use narrative lectionary and you want content from Sundays and Seasons, I would very much recommend using this reverse lectionary feature, because then you can put in the passage that you're interested in and click go and see if Sundays and Seasons has any content related to that passage of scripture. So the reverse lectionary, for those of you who are doing narrative lectionary, is a way to grab Sundays and Seasons content for passages that aren't particularly in the Revised Common Lectionary. Okay, so I'm going to go into my account now, and I'm going to talk about the account settings and information, because this is important before we go into the plan. You can add locations, um, uh, chapel, gym, home use, hospital chapel, main sanctuary. You can create worship plans and templates that are connected to any particular location you have. Outdoor fire ring services. I mean, you can create templates for all of these places. You can also add your schedule in here, creating service for particular times. All right, so be aware of those things. Under personal settings, this is where you make some global selections about what you want. So, for example, the default version is now the NRSV UE, but if you want your default to be the NRSV, you can choose that. If you never want to see anything in Braille, you can deselect that. If you always want to see something in Braille, you can select it. All right, and then don't forget to save your changes. So in order to whittle things down and make things easier for you, because there is so much content in sundaysandseasons.com, I would definitely work through some of your preferences here, and just make kind of get it where you want it to be. All right, user profiles. I want to mention this only because it's very simple to add new users. You can add as many new users as you want. Um, you want the children's team in there. You want the altar guild in there. Whoever you want to let in there, you can. You've got a limited number of seats. You just kind of give them a generic password to start, and then away they go. They don't get an email. You have to tell them that you've entered them in, right? They don't get an automatic email out of this. So just FYI. Okay, how did I get to my account? Somebody asked. It's at the top of the page. Science's logo, your name, my account, right? And that's how you. The global settings apply only to you. So it's only you as a user have those particular global settings, Paul. So yes, yep. Um, I'm going to go to the planner right now. There's various ways that you can plan your Ash Wednesday service. I'm going to give you the simplest way. Just hit the planet button. You can go to it from the planner. You can go from the calendar. You can go from it all kinds of places. And so you're given a choice for what's coming up in kind of the week ahead, and you can also plan weddings and funerals and other special services. But if you want to plan it, you've got some choices. You can plan for a particular service time, as I said before. You can plan starting with a template. If you have a template saved that you like using for Lent, or maybe you've created for this particular Lenten season, and for a location too. Those are all things that you can choose ahead of time. I'm going to just choose planet. And there's a three-part process: select base liturgy, customize service elements, review and download files. All right. And uh, once you get going, again, there's an opportunity for you to check on how this plan is doing in Prelude, for those of you who are into Prelude. If we just pick Ash Wednesday, ELW Ash Wednesday, and have it up, each one of these rows is called a service element. And there are various things that you can do with each of the service elements. You can move them up and down. If you want to do the gathering after the word for whatever reason, you can move the gathering after the word. And this is what I mean when you say, if you've got something that totally works for your congregation, you've spent a lot of time working on it, don't forget to save it as a template so you can go back to it. Or you're saying, gosh, you know, we would like to do something, and after the sermon that's kind of unique. Where's the confession of sin, invitation to Lent? Let's do it. Let's do it right here after the dialogue. Sorry, the dialogue. We are going to add something unique after the dialogue, and we're going to add something that we put on the clipboard. So for whatever reason, we thought this is a good idea. I'm going to go to the clipboard. I'm going to see what's on the clipboard. I've got a hymn here that we took off, check, and now we've got a hymn added in this location. That's what the clipboard does for you. All right, that's what the clipboard does for you. If you want to, let's say after the hymn of the day here, add something else, select element, a clipboard, and for whatever reason, if you want to choose the welcoming new members, I'm not saying this is liturgically correct, I'm just showing you how to do it. I've now got that welcoming of new members to the congregation in my worship plan. All right. And so that's how you move things back and forth from the library using the clipboard. Some of the other fun things that you can insert in using the insert button. You can insert custom text. You can insert different scripture readings, clipboard items. You can insert other subrights into the service, and all these subrights from all these various hymnals. You can put in there. I'm just choosing one. Check, and there you've got the litany added, another subright. All right, with all the stuff. Now, That's one thing I probably ought to say. If you've added something and you've got like more stuff than you could possibly imagine using, what do you do about that? Well, let's check that out. Under select, you can choose what you want to see. If you only want to see the melody, then you'll only download that. If you only want to see the text, then you'll only download that. And so that's a really useful function. So by the time you get it done, you can say, and I'm I'm far from finishing this, as you well know, but I'm bumping up over. I can save this as a template, create a new template from this plan. I'm gonna put it in a folder, and everybody can have their own folder. Pastor can have a folder. Parish administrator. Well, let's put something on the pastor. Let's just say David's Crazy Ash Wednesday. Um, uh, oof, where's the plan? David's Crazy Ash Wednesday. I don't know where all that came from. Sorry about that. My terrible typer, most likely. Um, and then go, and I'll show you where that is later. So let's say everything is done. You can continue then. You'll get some suggestions about things to download, maybe some things to do for kids, worship bulletins. You can download that now. But really, when it comes time to your plan, you preview what you've done, and there's that litany I've added. Where's that? Where's the um, new members? They're in here somewhere. Yeah, not there. Oh, welcoming new members to the congregation. So again, all those things you've added, you've moved around, you've made unique to your local setting. Um, I haven't nearly crafted this to the degree that I would have counted download worthy. But if you're happy with it, you can then download what you've done, and then you get exactly the plan that you've created. All right, let's look at some questions here. Let's go back because I can answer some of these questions. Three of us use Sundays and Seasons. How do we see each other's work? Reverend Kaufman asks. See this little link button here? That gives you a link to that plan, and you can share that link with one another, and so you can all collaborate on a single plan. All right. Hopefully that was useful to you. Let's see. Once you download an image that you're like, where does it go? Well, it goes into your download area. Did I download an image or not? Maybe I did not. So let's do that. So if I go back here, I'm going to go. You always go back to the home page by clicking sundaysandseasons.com. Oh, one more thing before I go away. Prelude people, edit in Prelude. This is the button that allows you to edit as a musician the same plan in Prelude. This plan. So you can add the hymns, you can add the anthems, you can add all of that. So if you want to edit this plan in Prelude, um, I click this button, it'll take me to Prelude, is what it'll do. So, but I'm going to click this instead. Sundaysandseasons.com should take me back to the home page, but like I said, it's acting a little, making it work too hard today, I guess. I'm going to go to visuals. And I'm going to just pick a visual. Let's pick a color one. I'm going to download it. Download. And see how it went up here? It's up here in my case, but I've got a PC. It'll be in the download folder. Here it is. And you can open it. What I do, and this is just kind of a side trick for me. I'm sure there are people that have better ways of doing this, but I open it in Paint first. So I'll open it in Paint first, and it's pretty big. Some resolutions are even bigger, but I'll sometimes say, well, I open it in Paint and I'll quickly resize it to the spot that I want it to be, and we'll use the resize button in Paint and then download that. That's just a little trick that I've got. Tamara says you can go to your browser options to have it ask where to download files. That way you can always put the clip art specifically where you want it to go. Yeah, really, really great tip, Tamara. Use your browser options and ask where to download files to. Really super great tip. Visuals, I guess. I mean, we're kind of done with the regular webinar. I probably should say that. I'm just kind of responding to questions that I see here. Um, PowerPoint slides. Oh, yeah. So if you have PowerPoint slides that say projection, then those are available to you. Yeah, you have the rights to use those for projection. Where are the tutorials located? I can show you very quickly. So I'm going to go to augsburgfortress.org. All right, so hopefully you're seeing augsburgfortress.org and go to webinars, right? So this is where the on-demand webinar is that we're in right now. I mean, sorry, this will be. It says on-demand right now because automatically switch over. There's nothing there, so don't go yet because I haven't edited it yet. I think it's on a timer that switches over after it's live. But if you go down on the right on the left-hand bar, Sundays and Seasons on-demand tutorial, you can go boop, and there you'll get a set of tutorial videos that I have done that have really parsed out the different features of Sundays and Seasons. Unfortunately, I did those years ago, and I listened to some of them, and the sound quality isn't really great. I apologize, but technology has changed over the years. And there's also a couple of quick tutorials on Prelude if you're interested. Let's go back to visuals. And I'm going to do something really kind of different. Um, this is kind of getting into a deeper place here. Let's say, and this is at the bottom of every homepage where you have your worship plans that are connected to a day, including our Ash Wednesday plan. You have your worship templates, okay? And so I added under the worship template somewhere David's Crazy Ash Wednesday. That's my worship template. That's where my worship template is, all right? And custom texts. Custom texts are kind of fun because custom texts are texts that you have local in your local setting. Maybe you do something for Lent that you alone do. All right. Um, and here's an example: Easter evening, baptismal candle recessional. Let's edit this. So you get a little edit thing and say, okay, this is something we do. We've got a text for it. It's not in Sundays and Seasons, but I can save it in Sundays. I can save it here in my custom text area. I mean, it could be anything. It could be things that you say to people before Holy Communion, guests and what have you, or you can add any kind of custom text that you want. All right. So I'm going to do two things. One, remember this baptismal candle processional. All right. And then I'm also going to go to the library, and I'm going to go under Sundays and Seasons resources, and I'm going to go under seasonal rights. And I'm going to go under seasonal rights for the 3 days. And what do we have here? Blessings for Easter Eve. Let's look at that. Cool. Let's put that on our clipboard. All right. So now I've got two things I want to do, and this is kind of redoing what I did before. Let's go to Easter Eve. Let's go on the 19th. visual of our Lord, planet, planet. And let's just say we are using, um, I don't know, um, ACS Service of Word and Prayer. So I've got that up, All Creation Sings. And I want to, at the end of the service, I want to add a prayer. Oops, sorry about that. Went too fast, I didn't add it. I want to add a prayer, and I'm going to add a clipboard item, and it'll be this blessing for Easter Eve, check. And then I'm going to add something else after this. I'm going to add a custom text from my custom text folder, David's custom text folder, Easter evening baptismal candle recessional. I'm going to add that. So now I took something from the clipboard and added it into my worship plan. There's that blessing for Easter Eve. And I also took something from my custom text folder, which is just my stuff, our local stuff, our church's, nobody else's stuff, and I added that. All right. So that's, you have to add a new service element, and then you have to pick what you want to populate into that new line in the service, whether it be a hymn, a song, a custom text, a scripture reading, something from the clipboard, or another subrite. Okay. I am responding to questions in real time. Spanish resources. Okay, I'm going to talk about Spanish resources a little bit. So one of the things that you can do when you're using Sundays and Seasons, thank you for that. I just must have missed that. Is let's say you want to replace this Lord's Prayer, right, with another Lord's Prayer, and you want to do it from our Liber de Liturgia, and I want to replace it with that Lord's Prayer. Select one, a couple different choices here. And so you can pull content in, Spanish language content into your worship plans, right? The best way to do it is by way of this replace button, And so that's how you can do that. I mean, we do have in our collection, I'm going to go back here. In our collection, if I'm planning Palm Sunday and I'm planning the service, I can choose. We do have a couple of services besides the ones that are in Libro de Liturgica in All Creation Sings. So I can create a service out of All Creation Sings. And the readings. Let's see the readings. No, the readings are still in English, but the responses are in Spanish. But the entire, the confession, what have you, is in Spanish. I don't know. Did that answer your question? I'm hoping so. Christina, you still with me? Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. So yes, there's Spanish hymns. There's Spanish. Yes, you can either select entire orders of service, or you can use the replace button to pull in content. This little replace button is pretty powerful into the Spanish, into the service you're creating. So if you're like doing a bilingual service, you can use some Spanish, some English, however you want to do it. So it's pretty cool that way. Yeah, sorry about that, Christine. I just didn't get into it. Okay, you're welcome. All right, what time is it? It's 12:06. Oh my goodness, we're way past. So I'll just pause and I'll say, if you got one last thing, I'll work through it with you if there's like a real sticking point for you. But if not, farewell. Oh, is there a way to search hymns by language? I don't, really good question. I don't think so. Music. You can just search out of the Spanish hymnal. That's probably the only way you can do it. Is just pick this hymnal and only search hymns out of that hymnal. Okay, we're good. Um, okay, I'm not seeing anything that uh, really is sticking some with you. Yeah, I don't know if it's a nice presentation, Arthur. It's like drinking out of the fire hose, but I hope it's okay. I don't know if I call it a nice presentation. Oh, gosh. All right. All right. You're welcome. You're welcome. God's blessings to you on your Lent, Holy Week, and Easter. There is a lot that you can use Sundays and seasons for. It's like you can play chopsticks on it, or you can play Chopin on it. There's a lot of growth. So I wish you all power user status. Yeah, I'm gonna make a copy of this webinar and have a version of it available